Good evening, and Spilled Glimmers, and welcome to this meta recap episode. Drew, welcome. There's no
Hello.
anymore.
Yeah.
Let's go right to it. Like, the meta's dead. There's everything's in shambles.
Well,
It's great. It's amazing. I love it.
yeah, well what you mean is like there is like no absolute dominant deck. Like every set ever since the start of the game, there were like metas where one deck was obviously better than others. Like you think of like set number 2 where red
Yeah.
purple was the best thing you could do, right?
Let me put our viewers in context. We had three pretty big tournaments this weekend. We had a 2K here in Montreal who brought in 128 players. There was a big tournament in the US with Zan uh, ending up winning it. And there was a 465 player tournament in Europe organized by Ravensburger. That was not a DLC, that was some kind of tournament over
It
there,
was like half a
but which,
DLC.
yeah, half a DLC that brought up like a lot of big players, including the likes of DKP, and where you look at the three tournaments, you have like three completely different meta games coming out of it. No clear winner. Everything's on the table. It's like to me, it's an amazing feeling to look at because it's wide open.
Yeah, you could like play anything like that that's solid enough and just win games. Like, okay, I'm gonna say like play something that's tried and tested. I mean, either Steelsong, red purple, blue red, uh, green yellow. Like there's a lot of possibilities of what you can be doing right now. Like just don't try to be cute and go like I don't know blue yellow or something, and you should be fine. You should win games of Lorcana.
I mean, I'm not even like I wouldn't try blue yellow. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't even be surprised at this point if someone came out with a left field blue yellow deck that made decently at their local like set championships or stuff like that because people who follow the meta and try to build like the meta deck and go on, it's like it's everywhere right now.
Yeah, like play whatever you feel comfortable with. Play whatever feels good to you. Like I know. Like if you give me the choice of like anything in the meta, like that was my thought process before the 2K in Montreal. Like I was like, I'm either gonna go with Steel Song or with Green Steel Discard. Like these are my jams. These are my favorite ones. I was saying like such in last week's episode. So
Yeah,
I knew I was going to play that. I considered for like 3 seconds playing red purple, but just because it looked good. But it was a good choice not playing that at our tournament because it didn't do well at all. So it did well in other tournaments, but
yeah, we're gonna see that. We're gonna talk about it,
so
but
just
yeah,
kick us off.
it's
Like I'm gonna get to story time when we talk about Montreal, right?
yeah. I'm gonna start with the bigger one to
Yeah.
be completely honest. I'm gonna go into Europe. So the Oberschwabenhalle main event.
Love your Deutsch.
Thanks. Let me pull it up here, which was won by Chernadog,
We were talking about Chernadog last week. Like it's not the
Ember
version,
Emerald.
like it's not the version we explored Clara's version, but
Not at all. It's a version that goes all in on Chernabog himself. So three copies with a lot of ways to fill your discard piles. So we have four Yzmas that try to cycle things, put things
discard
in
pile.
the discard. You have the Tramp to really put a lot more stuff, and then you play your free Chernabog, return everything, get the cycle going again, have some removal with the Tramp, have a lot of early pressure, and specifically a lot of big bodies with Daisy, Little John, and Nala at 4 toughness for 1 drops, and just take over the board.
Yeah, like and you get some great value just for trying to fill your discard pile with the Yzma. Like pitching a Lilo to the Yzma, you feel like you have a ginormous brain.
Oh, yeah.
So
And when I say fill the board, the finale was between Ember Emerald and Ember Steel Song, which we're going to talk about in a minute. And if you want to watch one of the most entertaining games of Lorcana ever, even if it's in German, go watch that finale.
I think you have
And just
like
as a taste, look at this board.
it goes sideways and whatnot. You showed me parts of it where like one board overlapped the other one,
At
and
one point, Matteo Rossi is so far in trying to figure out how to solve it that he's bringing cards on his side of the board to assign challengers, and it's a really, really complex puzzle laid out, and it goes back and forth a lot. It's a really great grand finale to watch, and the link to it will be in the video description. But no, like this deck can go hard.
oh yeah, like this is like a pop board, right?
Yeah, but it can also lose hard. That's the thing in this current meta, and nothing is granted. And its opponent in that finale was Ember Steel Songs, with one of your favorite cards at the top end of it,
Yep.
making a resurgence in the current environment.
Well, it's one of my favorite cards, also a fan favorite from the channel. Like we played a whole lot of Aerial Sonic Warrior here,
Yeah,
so yeah,
we
like
definitely go there. Three Miss Biancas in that version, which is one of the key differentiators from the other lists that did well. There's a few lists that did well in the various tournaments this weekend. Most of them have cut Bianca in favor of like a big Cinderella and a little bit more mid-range.
that's definitely what I would do. Like Miss Bianca, I understand why it's there. It's quite cheap for the big body, for the good ability to sing, Whole New World, but I just feel that you get so much more from a Cinderella that kind of like doubles up as transforming your small Cindy into a big one. You get like a kind of, I want to say, surprise challenge or surprise quest out of nowhere with her. Like, it quests for three, which is huge. It's just like, I'm comparing super rare with the common, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's the thing. Like another thing we were talking about just before starting to roll the camera, like this deck would have loved having grab your sword
Grab your sword, yeah.
against Chernadog, you know.
And we're gonna touch on Steel Song that was played um in Montreal this weekend, but we're seeing a resurgence of lists running Grab Your Sword. So stay tuned, fans of that. It's coming. But no, still, that deck did really well. The top four of that event was Chernadog, two Steel Songs, and a
Red purple, I think.
Red Purple Ruby Amethyst. And even that Ruby Amethyst did pretty good. One of the new techs we're seeing, the Yagos are out, and we're seeing the Moanas come in.
Yeah,
So evasive Moanas with Peter Pan, giving them rush. So you have a rush on turn 3, a rush on turn 4, and then like
Elsa,
one Dragonfire.
Elsa, which is
Yeah,
already
Elsa
rush.
being there. Two copies of Finders Keepers. Very interesting. It's not probably because it's not a song. I haven't dug a lot into it. I know Patrick was playing that this week at League, and he's also running the Finders Keepers. So
It's a very good value. I've seen it a lot out of Blurple, but it's just great value. Drawing those three cards, like when you have a decent enough board established, and you take the turn off just to reload and have a lot more gas and juice to bridge into the later game. It feels so powerful. Like
and I have to say, those Lumieres, they pull their weight.
oh yeah, I'm sure they do. Like Red Purple didn't do that well in Montreal, so I didn't see a whole lot of them. But like having your Peter Pan being three strength, having your Elsa and your genies being three strength too, it just feels very strong and very menacing for anything that gets exerted like out of I don't know Steelsong I want to say and stuff like that.
Yeah, or even like I call the weenie deck, but if we go back to the Chernadog list, a lot of that is four, which is great until all the opponent's characters start having four like strength because there's a Lumiere on board and like now the Diablo can challenge and the Chernabog's follower challenges for three and like they're a lot less menacing with their zero power. They're just getting plowed in every single turn by the one drops.
Yep. Yep. So I think the Lumieres were a really good call there. I've been loving like the new lists. Like we touched upon it last week. We
Yep.
were looking at a list with Yago, if I remember correctly. Now we have Moanas, which is I would guess a choice depending on what you want to be doing. Like the Yago has a tremendous body, but is kind of falls short against Steel. Uh, the Moana is just like a lot more aggressive. I want to
And
say,
especially since when she challenges, she gives plus three power to another character.
yeah.
So you have a lot more challenger. You're a lot better equipped to deal with locations as well with her. So no, it's really interesting to see what's happening.
hmm So yeah, this deck like it's been good. It's still good. You have a lot of choice out of your tools because that's the thing we were talking about, like the meta being wide open. It's also kind of wide open within archetypes where you can choose the tools you like and like adapt them to your liking and to your metagame.
Yep.
So if you're like expecting um, uh, a whole lot of steel, maybe I would go with the Moanas instead of the Yagos because you don't just want people pitching Let the Storm Rage on onto your Yago and getting all the value in the world.
Exactly.
So that's a
And then from here
oh yeah,
in the top eight, we also had something fairly special: new tech for the discard deck.
yeah.
So not only did we have a good showing of the Chernadog deck, but the discard deck also fared like pretty well, doing a top eight, so doing better than the likes of DKP with Blue Red, who did top 16.
Yeah,
Not a bad showing by any means,
yeah.
but yeah, like discard really strong here with the addition of the Tramp to do that whole cycling through your deck, going like
Finding your
digging deeper
pieces.
for the right answer.
Like you can just dig so hard for your under the sea when you need it, and
And especially with Prince John and Diablo just keeping your hand full versus Chernadog, where usually when you'll do your tramp, you'll have one or two cards left in your hand. So sure, you'll see a lot of cards, but you won't keep a lot. Here, by the time you do your tramp, you probably have four, five, six cards in hand. You can really pick and choose what you want when everything's going well.
that's the whole strength of that card. I feel it's just like it sculpts your hand, and like good players will be so rewarded with choices they make because they kind of can play around everything. Like you have ways to look into your opponent's hand with small Diablo, with Ursula, with bare necessities, and like you know what's coming. You have a feel for what's happening on the other side of the table. So you just sculpt your hand to maximize your later game.
And with the Hidden Cove, you have some very well needed protection against the big Sisu now that Ice Cube and Coil are pretty much out of the picture in the current environment.
Yep.
Just that usually shuts down all the Sisus in the world.
Yeah. And like I'm I always have a smile when I see that deck coming back. Like it was a deck that we favored in Vegas, DLC
Yep.
Vegas a few months ago, back in set 5. I was I had a little blank there, but you know, we really loved playing that, and to see the deck still performing is just very nice. Like I remember a few weeks ago, before the ban of Hiram and Fortisphere, this deck won a big-ish tournament with like no cards from set 7. So it was a fun thing to see.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, and that's the thing. Like I just to be sure that what the next deck we're talking about, you said that
There's one last deck from
okay,
that event
okay, because
that we want to showcase.
I cannot bridge the fact that Coil and Ice Block are out of the picture, but let's keep that in
No, no,
mind.
no, that's fine. But there's one last deck that we need to talk about, especially because you called that deck lame last week. Amethyst Steel fared pretty well in a few tournaments this weekend.
Yeah, well, I see here that people
But to be
have
fair, I'm saying pretty well. It did a top 16. I think it top 8'd in
Montreal.
Montreal. And it also, well, another version of that deck performed really, really well in the States, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's Amethyst Steel, but it's not mid-range Amethyst Steel. We'll get onto that one in a minute.
and to be fair, like this mid range, I have to like give credit where credit is due. I think it is built really well. It has some really good pieces. It has the Meta Mim Elephant that is just a source of just like pitching damage left and right.
Yep.
You have
One Gantu and one Elephant.
yeah, you have four of Zeus to deal with sharks. Like I have to give it to them. The person building this deck had everything considered and figured out, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a great list. Even the small like resist Mickey Mouse are interesting to see here. Definitely some fun things, but yeah, as we were saying earlier, if you face a meta where this is relevant and you that's what you want to pilot because you liked last season's Amethyst Steel, even though there's not a lot of new tools in this deck, there's actually zero cards. No, there's a Gantu.
Down to that's about it.
There's a Gantu from this set, but like even though there's not a lot of new things, it can still perform fairly well if that's what you want to go with. It's still a solid mid-range pile. Only two let the Storm Rage Ons in it too,
Yeah.
which is a choice.
Well,
I mean, you're pressed for uninkables, but
but that's why I say I think I have to say that I like the way it is built. It recognizes that it wants to be leaning a bit more on removal, so it added those two Let the Storms to be able to have more reach.
yeah.
So, but yeah,
And that like there's a lot of lists in this event that are worth looking at, but there's also a lot that are fairly similar. The red purples have a few variations. The steel songs have a few variations. It was a really good spread inside of the top 16 for this event. But we have two more tournaments to look at here.
Yeah.
And after that almost 500 person event, the second biggest one was in our like backyard. It was in Montreal, and you were there.
I was there, and like I'm segueing back to like we're saying that Ice Block and Coil were kind of out of the picture right now. Like, who is the herald of Ice Block and Coil? You know him pretty well. We interview him about once every few months.
Patrick,
No, the other one.
devoted. No, my son.
I'll go with Sailor.
Okay, let's go with Sailor then.
So
Who played Green Steel Discard?
yeah, he was playing the same deck as I did. So yeah, just a bit of a story time before delving into the deck. Like I was talking to him early on in the tournament because like I just went to see what he was playing in round like 3 or 4. He was playing against Philippe Asselin, my teammate, and I was actually like that was kind of my read about what he would be playing. My first choice would have been that he would go back on his first love, Steelsong, that he
Yeah,
played.
that's what you told me the day before. You were expecting him to be on Steel Song.
Yeah, because he was playing that a lot in set 1 and 2. I talked to him after the match with Phil, and like he said, well, those were my two options as well. I was like, I want to play either Steel Song or Green Steel, and he was like, yeah, I was thinking the same, but I liked my matchup spread a lot more with Green Steel, which is basically the same thing I thought. That like you don't want to be playing the Steel Song mirror all day. You're gonna dominate with this thing. So, and like the deck is super self-explanatory. It's like it's green steel discard. It's the as some people might call it, the bad guy of the format. Everybody was kind of teasing him of like, oh, you joined the bad guy side. You're turning to the dark side.
I mean, I'll be fair. We had someone borrow my Jafar list that we're going to talk about in a bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I had built Zan's list for the league this week, and the employee was like, "Oh, okay, can you lend me a deck? I'm going to try that." And he faced up against this, who beat him 5 turns in a row. Like, if that doesn't cut off a game plan when you're trying to play Jafar wheel, I don't know what will. There's only so much you can do facing 5 Pete's in a row.
Yeah, no, it's quite great. Like the big Pete shifting onto the small one is so good. Like I've sung the merits of like these lines of just like Pete shifting Pete, Peting you again, maybe shifting again, and like just going from there. It's so great, and like everything stacks. The Pete is so hard to deal with the resist one while it's exerted. So yeah, that's it's. I just feel the list is super strong. Like I
It's
said,
a straightforward, it's a straightforward list, but it works,
oh,
right?
it works very well. Like I was maybe 5 to 8 cards off this list because I like playing my spices. Like I was only 2 hypnotizes. I wasn't playing the Pluto. I was playing something else. Just maximizing my morphs. But it's a great list. It works. Everything synergizes so well. The Prince John is just an all star. Diablo Turn 2 is just a great line, and that's what I was complaining all throughout my tournament because I didn't do that well with the deck. Like
Yeah.
I didn't achieve many Diablo Turn 2s on that day. Like
Very similar to my bells on turn one.
yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm always saying. Like sometimes you're just on the good side of variance and you're gonna feel like a hero just getting good hands, getting good play patterns, uh whilst like, and that's what Pierre Marc was telling me during the tournament. He was like, yeah, I consistently Diablo turn to like on many occasions, and I was like, yeah, I'm struggling to do that today. And like I was mulliganing like bad hands into atrocious hands.
And
Like you're like, oh, I'm gonna save this hand, mulligan like 5 or 6 cards, drawing your 6 others, and it's just like worse. That's
I mean, that happens. Like, bad days will be bad days. But yeah, Pierre Bar showing, first of all, that he's not only the blue red guy, he can win with other stuff. Doing really well here, and it was a highly contended tournament regardless. Not as many, big names or anything, but still a lot of strong players showed up. 128 players from all over Quebec mostly. I do think you had a few Ontarians and
maybe a few from like the Ottawa side and whatnot, because there was like another biggish tournament in Ontario, which was not that. I want to say it wasn't that big that.
didn't draw as many people apparently. I didn't have a look at the exact numbers, but
I think it
when you
was
have two
for
big tournaments
it.
at the same time,
It was like 40, 50ish people. So
yeah.
at some point you cannot do miracles if they're all at the same time.
Yeah. But anyways, Pierre Marc did really well, and he played his finale against a deck a color combination I was not expecting, and yet the two people who played it in Montreal finished second and fourth. So he was playing against purple yellow,
Yeah,
but not the hyper aggro version. A really more, I don't even know how to call that,
it's
like mid range ish.
I think Index calls it aggro bounce, which is like it's not hyper aggro. It's still aggressive
Yeah,
ish.
it's still aggressive.
So it's like it's aggro bounce, which I feel it's fine. Like you get the sense of the value it wants to be getting by bouncing off of Madam Mim, mostly Madam Mim. Uh, you still get the Peter Pan package that's good in purple in red purple. You get Bell that is very strong. Like the effect on Bell is always very very strong to be able to move damage, ignore, resist on steel creatures, or blue creatures that are protected by Cogsworth. So whatever. So yeah, but the thing is, the matchup I feel was very favorable for Pierre Marc in that spot. It's historically this kind of deck does not do so hot against steel decks that have a lot of removal have a lot of answers to what you're doing and kind of stop you in your track.
I mean, they're still playing a few four toughness early drafts, and their main spice is the 2-drop Mana Mim
Yeah,
that gives Challenger +1 to everything, meaning that your Diablo might be able to go trade into something, or your Nala might be able to defend itself when you're in a more losing position. So that's really their Lumiere at home uh, that they put into there, and it's an interesting take on the list. Like something new coming up and doing well, as we were discussing. If you have a good list and you know how to drive, like how to be a good pilot of it, you might do very well.
yeah, and you see like very interesting tools that kind of like diverge from the usual aggro path. You have like the bare necessities that really attack most decks today because like everybody's running actions, songs, locations,
Locations.
whatever you would like, and you have like three copies is very deep of World's
World's
Greatest Trimmers.
greatest.
Like this deals with the shark so well, oh so well. Like
I mean, almost every deck has a target for that. Because you have the Mauis, be it the Shark or the regular one. You have the Chernabog, who can be hit by that.
you have
And it's very surprising when like you're playing yellow and someone plays a Chernabog in front of you, and then you just, yeah, sure, world's greatest.
Yeah,
Uh,
you have the peat. You cannot sing it, but still it removes the peat, the green steel peat.
yep, you can remove the Green Steel Pete, you can remove the big Cinderella. Um,
Not Madam Miss Bianca.
Ms. Bianca can be removed. The few people still playing dragons, like there is a lot there that you end up being, oh, whoa, they played that. Oh, wait a minute. Removal from my 2-drop. Hi.
Yeah,
So
no,
no, big fan of that, especially for a deck that's trying to protect itself
and like
because it's fairly aggressive.
and very much under the radar. Like it wasn't. I want to say it was on no one's radar going into the weekend.
Yeah, no. I
So
mean, I've been upping my copies of World's Greatest because it's one of the tools that really annoys me when I'm playing blue-red.
mm,
And I realized how powerful it was for a lot of decks, like even being low key, and it's inkable. Who cares?
yeah, like when it's not good, just dump it in the ink. You have other stuff to do.
Exactly.
uh,
We were talking earlier about the Steelsong that did well in Europe. There's one that did pretty well in Montreal as well, with Simeo doing top 8.
So Simeon Lajoie, who is a teammate of ours, he's a guy from Sherbrooke, loved his list. Loved his list. Like I was onto what he was playing. I've seen him playing some kind of like Steel Faucet lists in the last weeks. And now just like he said, yeah, just to hell with the Mufasas. Just get onto something a bit more streamlined, a little bit more solid. He using the lanterns, which is a card that I usually don't like. I think it makes a lot of sense in his list, which like warrants him to be able to ramp in a color combination that generally doesn't do it or has to hard commit to do it, and it gives him the opportunity to play some of the really big high end that I like to be playing, like in green steel when I'm able to, and whatnot. Like he's back on four beasts, which I Mwah.
Yeah, that's like that's the big like the four beasts and the two stitch surfers are the things that make you go, whoa, what set are we in right now?
Oh, I think those are great. Like it's the thing is like you have to make some concessions. Like his list is a bit high on uninkables. He's on 16, which is probably a little bit over what you like to be doing. You have to be really mindful with your mulligans when you play this list.
Yeah,
Uh,
because you don't want to just return a bunch of inkable and draw like five uninkables and be like, oh well.
exactly, because like you have like your more than half your songs are uninkable. Your ramp is uninkable, and you also have those two Prince Naveen that are great to just be able to either remove something very efficiently by singing a Zeus for free or just singing a whole new world for free.
Hmm.
But still, they are a weight on your ing base.
Oh yeah,
So I
and I
really
mean it's
love
still
this list.
dangerous to play like, especially turn three, playing Naveen into a whole new world is still fairly dangerous in the sense that you no longer have ink and your opponent will be the one deploying their cards first. So,
Exactly, but you also get a lot of juice out of it. It
oh yeah,
it's
you
still
get the card advantage for sure.
and also like with all the big stuff that you have here, your follow up play will probably be very interesting. Also, to note is that you're probably gonna be able to Naveen into Whole New World on turn 3 because of that lantern.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Like you can Lantern turn two, Naveen turn three into a whole new world, which is going to be a good card advantage. But again, if your opponent has better plays than you, he's going to play them first. So he has access to his removal. He has access to
the thing is like on turn 3 or depending on 4 if you were on the
on the
draw,
draw.
like there's no good way to just deal well with your board because you could have something really interesting like going one drop into lantern, and I'm not trying to be in a magical Christmas land situation here where you get another one drop off your lantern and then going into Naveen whole new world, but can happen.
Can happen.
So
With 8 1 drops, it's harder though. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. You cannot play Daisy
oh,
in this
no,
list. Like you
fun.
cannot play Daisy.
No, fun showing here. Again, no grab, but like
You're on a different plan. You're kind of turboing out big stuff, which kind
yeah,
of is gonna do the
it's a different type of aggro.
yeah. Also, like the thing is, what I see the concession is Ariel, Sonic Warrior is a good stand-in for grab because
Well, yeah, fair.
yeah, because then
She's gonna sing and
and
damage
then
and
pitch damage elsewhere. So
And we also had a good showing, like a nice top 16 from some blue-green deck here, from Marcelin Bellil,
so
which I'm happy to report does not run in Geyser.
yeah. I heard someone was playing that like a version of that with Geyser early on in the tournament, and like they were kind of like 2 or 3-0, like very early on in the day, and I was like, oh god, this day's gonna take forever, isn't it? But yeah, no, like I think you cannot be playing in Geyser like seriously and having like because you know you can try and cheese and just have like a Clarabelle that just refills your hand after getting Geyser and whatnot, but it's so
I know
cheesy.
one of our viewers played against this list specifically and had a really hard time dealing with the muses to the point where they added like special tech to prepare for that matchup being more prevalent in the future.
Really,
Yeah,
and what's the technology?
uh, just some coves because it's Ras. He's
Yeah,
on green steel, and he was
he
having
was
like
he was doing really well early on in the
he was
day.
doing really well. He had a really good start,
Yeah.
really good showing at the tournament. To be fair, missed the top 8 by like not that much. I think if I remember correctly.
It actually fell through in the last rounds. He ended up
Yeah.
4-3, I think,
Oh,
but
okay.
he was like very alive. He started out 4-0, which was like he needed one more win to be able to start drawing, and then it kind of
Yeah,
didn't go his
exactly.
way.
But no, still, the deck performed really well here with the muses being able to bounce a lot of stuff. The bend to my will, attacking the hand aggressively, but not being a discard deck. Just doing a good ramping, big green stuff,
It's more
and then
it's more of a 1-2 punch kind of thing. It's not like
yeah,
incremental like chipping at your hand like green steel is doing or green yellow is doing. Like it's
yeah.
really just like dump your hand. End of the story.
Your opponent hold you, wills you. You respond with bend to my will, and just okay, cool. I have 6 more cards in hand. You don't.
Yeah. There's something here that you really don't like, and I have to mention it because I'm not a big fan of it either. Uh, Maybe like this deck needs it more. I really hate it out of Blurple, but it's the one of Tamatoa with only 4 popsicles.
Yeah, I feel like people are trying to make fetch happen so much with that play. Like the popsicle is only replacing itself in your hand. It's not real card draw. And having a Tamatoa just in the off chance that you have a popsicle in your discard that you're going to be able to bring back and then re-replace in your hand for 1 ink. There's better ways to do it. At this point, I'd much rather see like, especially since we have the muses, I'd personally much rather see strike a good match, like the draw 2 discard 1 song. To me, it feels a lot more powerful, especially with the muses on the board.
Mm-hmm.
It digs you to. You put any card from your hand back, so I would much rather play that and then have that 6 drop slot available for something else, but that's just personal preference.
Yeah, and like I've seen people doing it in Blurple, which I think this is the most egregious matchup where you're doing it because you're in purple, you're drawing cards.
Yeah,
That's what you're doing.
you
It's
can
your
draw
job.
with anything. Play llamas. Do like
Like,
I don't mind what you're doing. Just
dude, you're singing like "Friends on the Other Side" on turn 2 off your bell that you cracked your popsicle with. So that's fine. You're okay. You don't need that Tamatoa to be in the deck.
but anyways, yeah. That being said, though, Genie on the Job is not something I expected to see in 2025 in the list.
Well, it's kind of a good removal option out of this color combo. Also,
I will say depends on the matchups
yeah, sure enough.
because I've been playing enough bounce in my time to know that the issue, be it with Chromicon, with Genie, or with anything that bounces your opponent's characters to their hand, is if you're playing against red and all their cards just do something big when they come in, like you don't want to bounce a Tremaine, you don't want to bounce a Medusa, you don't want to bounce a Sisu, you don't want to bounce a Maui. It's it can feel so bad, even though you're gaining a bit of tempo. Okay, but they're gonna like refuel and redraw cards of their rabbit that you just bounced them, giving them a card doing so.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
There's a lot of characters that you just don't want to bounce.
Hmm.
So I feel I would have had like 2 Hades instead of 2 Genies, but that's again like they did top 16, I didn't go, so I'm not gonna,
Yeah,
gonna
well,
tell them how to build the deck.
well, it's constructive criticism, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, and like I was talking a lot, like I'm segueing a bit. Like I was talking about like playing Tamatoa happy as a clam in Blurple. You know who didn't do that? My favorite Blurple player.
Is it Etienne Germain?
We're talking about him once again. We talked about him last week, and like I played against him in round 3, and he listened to our video, and he was like, "Yeah, you guys were right. Like I was missing my big Elsa, my 8-drop Elsa, so he put one back for the tournament."
He's still playing the popsicle, but in this case, because he's playing Bell, it makes a lot more sense.
But that
Than
works.
I'll think the the blue. Okay, the blue green was playing it as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, um, he's not running Tamatoa just to get
No, I know he's
cutesy with
not
him.
like exactly. No, I agree with that, but I had missed that Blue Green was also playing Bell, so it was just why play Popsicles at all? Because of Bell, it might be worth to.
Okay, yeah, no, that works, but still, you're not forced to have the Tamatoa as part of the
Yeah,
package, you
no,
know.
no.
So yeah, like again, Etienne been playing Blurple since set number one. Now it's really coming into its own. He's, uh, for lack of better words, happy as a clam, even though he's not playing the Tamatoa. So yeah,
I do like the two copies of Hypnotic Strength though in the deck.
yeah,
Like that's a cool tech he added as well since last time. Challenger +2 and drawing a card. Like that's gonna remove stuff. It's gonna remove that pesky location. It's gonna enable your Diablo to trade into something and draw a card. I really like the tech there.
yeah.
Even allows like a Chernadog to go trade with a Daisy.
It allows your Diablo one drop to do things,
Yeah,
to do a lot of things actually, like maybe trading or chipping in damage and drawing two.
something like that.
Yeah,
But to be fair, allowing your turn one Bell to take out a Daisy on turn two is big in itself when you're trying to win a race against aggro.
yep. And also, like, I still have to mention, like, this is probably my favorite. Like, my favorite thing to do in this color combination is like shifting the 5 drop bell onto the 3 drop.
But
Mwah! That's great. And like,
definitely a power move that a lot of people still don't expect. You know the two cards, but no one like a lot of people miss that interaction and see you with two ink with damage on your bell, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, it's fine, whatever." And then you just shift and remove something, and then challenge again with her, and
yeah,
suddenly it's a blowout.
yeah. People like, I played twice against Blurple in my day. Like in my round four, I played against Blurple, and like he was leaning into the bell plan a lot more heavily than Itzen did, and like I think he had 3 or 4 5 drop bells. Like he just machine gun like Diablos and whatnot all game long, and I was like, that's really bothersome. Yeah,
It's a problem for sure.
and like really like what it's ended here, like with the 4 Hades that are so pivotal. Like as like in game three where like I had one of those situations where I mulliganed a bad hand into a worse one. He like I played an Ursula on turn two. I saw he had 2 Hades early on. And I was like, I can probably bank on the fact that he's a bit choked up on inkables and will want to develop quicker into those Hades. And at some point, he just like unlocked with being able to draw discard stuff. He discarded the Hades, so I was just like, okay, he was digging for inkables. No. He drew the third one. It was just like such a power move.
Wow.
So yeah, no, it was great.
Great list, and like last list we're going to talk about from this tournament because again, some of the lists are similar amongst themselves or two lists we already looked at, but a great like there was a pretty big spread as well, I think, in Montreal over the lists that you guys had, right?
Yeah. No, it was all over the place. I played it against like Blue Red, Steelsong, uh, Blurple. I played against a lot of stuff, and I saw a lot of stuff going around the tables.
And then there was a third tournament where a small indie player by the name of Zan Syed entered with a list fairly similar to one I've been playing against since the beginning of the set. A little Jafar wheel list.
We have to give credit where credit is due. That the original mad scientist behind this list was Pat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I mean, yes and no. To be fair, everyone saw what Jafar Will was going to
yeah,
do the second Jafar was spoiled, but bringing it back this set, like Pat was doing that pretty much day one of set seven, and Zan refined it. Probably like I'm assuming he came with it on its own. I don't think he stole Pat's
No,
idea,
no, no.
but took the took the package, refined it, brought it like into a bigger move with the Robin Hoods, which Pat was not playing. Pat was more all in on Jafar's, and made it, I want to say, more resilient. Because usually Jafar wheels, they're kind of all or nothing. But then by adding those Robin Hoods, you're adding some depth to it. Because people still have to deal with Robin, even if all they want to do is machine gun your Jafars. And you have the giant Cobras that can just win lore out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, the the Robins, I want to say, add a lot of consistency to your list. It's a great mid range tool. Like it's one of my favorite cards in the game. Also, so like I'm always gonna speak highly about Robin, but it's like it does a lot well in your plan. Like it's gonna go ahead and challenge and pull you ahead and enable you to be able to close the gap with your Jafars whenever you'll be ready to do so. And it's gonna draw you a card. Maybe it's gonna enable your Jafar to like just gain that extra lore at some point if you want to go trade into something. So it does a lot well for the list. The main thing I wanna point out is that the deck does not run four whole new worlds.
Nope, just three.
So that's the thing. Like even like in this deck particularly, more than in Steel Song, because like in Steel Song you have a lot of great ways to just like leverage whole new world. In this list, it feels more like a brick. Like I've played against Jafar Wheel at different times in the game, and your whole new world feels bricky. You almost never want to just be doing it for no value, I want to say, because you want to get the whole package. You want to gain that
Yeah, you want to
seven
sing
lore.
with your Jafar
Yeah,
and get the wheel and get the seven lore.
yeah, yeah. You want to get the whole shebang. So that's the thing.
But the interest, like to me, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, I was done.
Okay, what I was gonna say is the funny thing is what unlocks this deck in set seven, because a lot of that has been around for a while. The genies have been around for a set or two. Like, there's nothing that was preventing this deck from working, but the printing of the common Jafar in this set really put the whole thing together. It's one more Jafar. It gives Challenger +2 when it comes in, which is absolutely huge because now you can remove stuff. Like, again, the Diablo removing something on the way out and drawing a card, fantastic. Being able to have that crab effect, like, on a Jafar that you can then shift onto, it it doesn't seem like much. A 3/2 that Quest for 2 gives Challenger, it's a common, it's whatever, it's a Jafar. But that card does so much work in that deck. It's incredible.
Yeah, it actually like the fact that it quests for two and that it enables you to get aggressive with it if you need to. So good, so good. Like we played that card in our $20 decks when we we're still to showcase them a little more, but like it's just great. It's just great value for a common. It bridges a gap that you didn't have. Like you had to play the 4-drop Jafars that okay, we're huge. They had big butts, but you
They're not the funniest.
no, like either you're playing the rare that's a 0/5 that gains strength out of depending on the cards in your hand,
Yeah,
or you have the 2/5 with Challenger +3, I think.
something like that.
Yeah, so they're just a bit, I want to say, vanilla, unexciting.
They're a bit wonky, yeah.
So
The main um the main mistake of not mistake. The main risk this deck runs, and we know someone who ran into it specifically tonight, is it was built in an environment that, and I'm gonna repeat myself, doesn't run grab your sword. But tonight someone was running grab your sword and all the Jafars have two toughness, two willpower.
would it be someone that lives in the same household as you and that hears us talking about grab your sword all the time?
I'm not saying, but I know of one world class player who got his Jafars absolutely annihilated tonight by some grab your swords that he didn't see coming. So,
For people that are
uh,
not privy to our little insights, Nick's son, James, kind of just blew out Patrick that was playing our local league at my store
yeah.
tonight with just like surprise grab your sword.
And James is a forever Steelsong player.
Yeah.
So adding the grab your swords back really felt good for him, but it really took Pat by surprise. And it will take, like, if you're expecting that specific list, like if you're with people who follow Zan a lot and you're expecting in your set champs that they're going to play Jafar, yeah, grab your sword is pretty big.
Yeah, can we just like release this video like next week? Because I want to play a set championship with this deck.
They won't have time to tech against it. Don't worry, you're fine.
Yes.
But no, and last deck we want to look at is the deck that came in second against Zan, and it's a return favorite. Like it's Emerald Amethyst, Clarabelle, Big Ursula, the genies, like all the thing you're expecting from Emerald Amethyst with Lyle Tiberius Rook, which we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, it's just like kind of. I remember in. I think it was when we were going to Vegas. I think, and you had like two versions of the mid range deck. You had like red purple and green purple, and this is kind of like bringing back that list that is still a bit more on the aggressive side. Like the red deck was a bit more on the controlly side. The greenies was more on the aggressive side, and also like it's a big name playing that list. It's Morgan Shamlin, I think. Yeah, that Mo kid. That's Morgan Shamlin. So he's a world's competitor. He's the one that took Phil Asselin out of Continentals. No. We're just joking here, but you know, like he was playing kind of the same thing at Continentals. It was like it's his kind of deck. He likes that play pattern a lot. Definitely, he mid ranged it a lot more than what he was playing at Continentals. Like he didn't have like Ursula and Clarabelle and whatnot back in the day, but uh,
But that Ursula's still a pretty big hurdle in the current metagame.
it's
Like you lock all the songs deck out of what they're doing, and that includes the blue red like Shark McDuck, which might not look like a songs deck. It's blue red. It's trying to be aggressive, but it relies so much on singing those
how far I
how
go.
far out it goes and like relying on singing to do a lot of those actions happen. That Ursula, similar to the Pete, can impede the game plan so much.
Yeah, and again, kind of solidifies what we're saying, like that kind of most of the color combinations have a solid deck out there that works, that has a consistent good plan and attacks the metagame through one angle and wants to be doing that, and it kind of becomes a game of like guessing. You cannot just like play the metagame in this current like
You can
set.
take, oh, this is the best list. I'm gonna go win.
Like like I found it funny that Zan again went back to and I think it was kind of like a joke compared to what he was saying when he came up with Blue Steel. He was like, I broke the meta again. I'm just like infinite zero with the Jafar wheel. Like I think it was like a self dig,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but you know like I definitely think that this is not correct. Like the Jafar deck has its weakness. It's not as dominant as Blue Seal was at the beginning of the set pre-ban. So
And if anyone's wondering what the weakness of Jafar lists are, just banish the Jafars. Like, if you have to hard cast a 7 cost Jafar, you're not winning.
no, it feels like hardcasting grab your not grab your sword,
A
hold your
whole new
world in
world.
Steelsong. It's like
Yeah.
when you're doing that, you kind of know you've lost and you're trying to claw back into it, right?
No, exactly. So just deal with the small Jafars, and in this case, you have the Robins too. But
Yeah.
like, as long as the Jafars are dealt with, that deck doesn't do as much.
Mm.
And even though it has better Jafars, they're not like completely unwinnable. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and that kind of is one of the things that that surprised me when I saw how well he was doing, because Steelsong definitely was one of the most popular lists across all three events, and like maybe across all events I've seen this weekend. And like
Mhm.
it's probably one of the deck that's best geared towards dealing with your two well-powered creatures, like just Cinderella into.
It is, but at the same time, like they want to deal with the Robin Hoods. They want to deal with your Chernabogs before you can draw the cards off of them.
Mm,
You have your Pete, like you can protect to a degree some of your Jafars, and there's only so much of it that they can find and play. Like, do they really want to waste a Zeus on a small Jafar? Do they like they have to manage all that removal effectively? And that deck has a lot of threats. Like Steel Song needs to remove the genie through songs. It doesn't have any evasive.
fair enough. Fair enough.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. And again, like we haven't looked at Jafar lists quite a lot recently.
And
But with the
and like it just reminds me, because I was looking at that list, and it reminds me of something that like maybe my Sherbrooke gang will not be so happy that I'm mentioning right now. There's a deck we're working on, and it's Blurple Jafar Wheel. It's
wow.
no. Hear me out. You have popsicles with Bell, and you have lamps that you can crack, and it's a Tamatoa deck, so you can regrow popsicles and lamps. It's nuts, nuts. I say.
I was about to say the beauty of the recent sets is the addition of Genie.
Yeah.
Because now your lamp does both modes when you crack it, which it didn't in the earlier days because there were no good genies.
Hmm.
So now you can crack the lamp, bounce something 4 or less from the opponent, and draw 2 cards, which is like an even more powerful thing. So no, like don't spoil your team's secrets.
No, it's no. I'm not gonna say everything that it's running. It's
No,
just
no,
that the
no.
concept seems so outlandish. Because like I've like we came up with the idea. I think Phil came up with the first list that was kind of like a draft, and I kind of like moved some things around, and like verbally, someone did the changes within the list, and like I don't know how serious they were about trying it, but you know.
We'll see. But I was talking about not spoiling things. Yesterday we had spoil. Well, I won't call it spoilers. We had leaks
Leaks.
from some Ravensburger internal communications that happened recently.
So as most of you might know, we're gonna have a big stream on Tuesday, the May
Yep, May
6th.
6th.
So they said that we're gonna look to the future and see what
The
the
next chapter of Lorcana.
exactly. So it it's kind of a pivoting point, and just be reassured. We're not gonna talk about any of the leaks here. The only one we're gonna address is the one that
Has
Lorcana,
been
yeah,
confirmed.
that
So
Lorcana
yeah,
themselves have confirmed on stream yesterday, I think. So on
that's
Wednesday.
that's where I was going. So a lot was leaked there. Ravensburger has come out pretty much confirmed that the leaks are real. If you want to go look that up, do it. For us, we're gonna respect the work that the people at Ravensburger have put into it, and wait for them to make the full announcement instead of just looking at bits and pieces of information and piecing the rest in our mind. So we'll keep you posted once we have the full information with what's included in it and all the thrilling things that are coming. And from what we've seen so far, probably a few arguments Drew and I are gonna have, or at least the community has. So there's gonna be good discussions to be had next week on that topic. But the one thing that was confirmed is that Worlds is happening on June 28th and 29th in Walt Disney World. and that it's going to be a private event. So only the competitors are invited. So don't buy a ticket to go to Disney World to go see Worlds. You're not going to be allowed in. Everything's going to happen on stream for the viewing spectators. They want to keep the experience as VIP as possible for the competitors. They want them to feel like the full experience. And as such, they've confirmed that yes, those are the dates, but it's going to be private. They're not going to allow people as so to prevent like fans from just going buying Disney World Vacation and then being disappointed.
Yeah, like the only small argument that I allow myself to like uh, give you guys an insight on, because there were communications prior to like the recent events and whatnot that said, and maybe it changed along the way. We don't know, and like maybe they'll tell us, maybe they won't. Uh, they said that Worlds was going to be part of a bigger event, which kind of seems weird now. Saying we don't know if it's like backtracking, if it's as intended, and whatnot. So we're
We don't know if they changed the date because maybe they planned for it to be at D23 that's happening in Disney World later in the summer. So maybe the original plan was to have it like during D23. We don't have information on that. Hopefully, we're gonna have more news on Tuesday regarding that. I, for one, was not planning to go, so I'm not too disappointed that it's not open to the public. But
I kind of am, because like
no, I know you
yeah,
are.
like I was intending like to go cheer on our two boys from Quebec. I
Yeah,
know probably some people from the Sherbrooke gang would have come with me. Like if there were some high profile tournaments over there, like
at the same time, knowing well, not knowing Disney, but knowing the level of VIPness that Disney is able to give, I'm sure there's a lot planned for our competitors. And from the leaked picture we've seen, it seems that it's not happening on site. It might be happening in one of the resorts. So having to deal with a bunch of Disney fans trying to enter a resort for for an event, and maybe there were logistical problems on that front, and on like, okay, how do you like? There's convention centers there. They're able to organize big events. They organize marathons and stuff like that, but maybe there's been logistical issues. I'm sure we're going to hear from it because I want to touch upon, to me at least, the biggest win in this situation. And that's Ravensburger's response. There's been a lot of complaint that, oh, they don't communicate enough. Oh, we don't hear from them. We don't have information. And then this leak happens. And the new director of communications comes to Discord and is like, okay, I'm going to
Twitch
have like
actually.
a Twitch in half an hour or whatever. And he jumps onto Twitch
Oh
for
yeah,
a 10-minute video where he's like addressing it very like upfront. We've seen it. We know you've seen it. It's okay. We have a lot more stuff to announce to you on May 6th. Join us regardless. You see, not everything is in there. And
they even
he,
poked fun at it. Like
yeah,
they were like, you, I'm sure you want to enjoy it more than looking at a few grainy pictures.
exactly. So, very direct, very transparent about it. But more importantly, he was in a one person streaming studio, and he announced that they're going to use that space a lot more to communicate, that there's going to be a lot more live streams coming from there from himself. And I'm seeing a lot of positive from that communication department that they're building, where it seems they've taken to heart the gripes that people had with communications at Ravensburger. The team is now taking its place and seeming a lot more reactive, and that gives me hope that we're going to see the same on the competitive side with the hiring of a competitive director, and that they're taking the thing as seriously as the community is.
Exactly. Like we were talking about it like no later than last week. Like
Yep,
we're I was kind of like voicing the burgeoning concerns of
discontent.
some
Yeah,
fans even I was kind of starting to feel kind of the little strain of like, hmm, where is it going and whatnot. And like, as a good thing, they announced the stream during the weekend when we were playing the 2K. Like there were the leaks, and that it is what it is, you know. Uh, I'm like I have my opinions about it, and I'll talk at length if you want to message me privately about it before Tuesday. But and we're gonna address them
We're
officially.
gonna have a video for
Oh
sure
yeah, yeah. It's
on that topic.
like knowing what we already know is gonna be huge, and it's gonna be even more than that. So
Yeah, no, there's big things coming. Stay tuned on Tuesday for that.
yeah, because also I just want to give like a bit of a more hopeful overview. Like you see, like if in places like Quebec slash Montreal we were able to fill a room that like we were at full capacity in our 128 players event. We intend on doing more of this all over the province because our scene is very healthy and like very like alive. Uh, I like just tonight, like we've been seeing growth in our like local league.
Oh yeah,
Like the league I started with my old job always was getting like you're still going on a weekly basis, and it's always like
hmm
15 to 20 people.
yeah. I
To,
think we even have like 22 this week. Like it's been steady. It's been fair. The one I'm running is usually between 12 and 16.
yeah, and now tonight we got like about 16 people at the one from for my store, which to me was a big win that people are starting to
Yeah,
get interested and to get more enfranchised with that league. Like we're getting like I want to say different smaller communities that can all kind
and
of merge during like set championships and stuff like that.
and that's the thing, right? Because we're talking about events where you have 20 peoples a week, 12 people, between like 10 and 14 people for your store. There's another store that usually runs around 8 to 10. They're not the same people. It's not a group of 20 people going around all the stores. We have like people interested in playing competitively enough to be in the league on a weekly basis. 40, 50 people in the smallish pool that is Quebec City, which is good. And they're making like 4 or 5 card shops benefit from that, reap the benefits of having this community alive and just making all those set championships super healthy, making the community really grow. Because then when you see those people every week, it forms bonds. But even the ones we see every 3 months when there's store championships, and you know they're going to another store you're not going, but it's still nice to see them.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm super active with the community, so I pride myself in knowing most of the people, but it's cool to see a level of enthusiasm that is kind of youthful. I want to say, like I play a whole lot of Magic, and like
Yeah.
week after week, I see most of the same people. Like, there's gonna be a big event of Magic this weekend that I'm gonna participate in. I'm gonna see people from Montreal. I'm gonna be happy to see them, but like we're it's not gonna be the same feel. It's not gonna be like, oh, we're so excited about playing the game that we all love. It's like, oh, another weekend at the office, you know?
Yeah, we're here to grind the game.
Yeah,
Got to get our invites.
exactly. So it's the feeling is just different. Like even though like I'm grinding pretty hard in Lorcana, like I like the competitive side of it, and I kind of approach it in a similar fashion as Magic. Doesn't mean that the results and like the outlook is the same.
Yeah, no, different game for sure, and different communities. Which
Exactly.
when Disney Lore kind of started, one of the things Ravensburger came out saying was, "We're building a card game to expand the the player base of TCGs and not to go cannibalize the other TCGs." And so far, I have to say, I think that's a resounding success. The amount of people we play with who are like, okay, this is my first TCG. What does this expression mean? What does, like, there's something in the leaks that we were discussing at the store tonight, and someone came to me and like, I've been hearing this term thrown around a bit. What does it imply? What does it mean for the game? And the fact that those people who would have maybe never picked up a TCG are jumping into it and are playing on a regular basis and getting involved in this, that's a huge win for the card game community as a whole.
One of the people I traveled with for the 2K told me, "Oh, I always was a collector." He's a big like gym guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's a big gym guy. He's really like fit and whatnot. He's more of like the sports kind of guy. And he said like he told me, "Oh, I always was like the collector type. I like collecting hockey cards when I was younger and whatnot, but I never had the drive to play." When this Disney card game came out, I started buying cards and I was reading them. I was like, these things do stuff, but I want to know about the stuff that they do and how it interacts together and what playing a game means. And he's super enthusiastic about it. Like he's come to the
He's
2K.
grinding a lot of Lorcanito.
Yeah,
He's like, he is really, really invested in this. And it's like, great guy. We would have never seen him in a card shop before.
exactly. Not with Magic, not with other stuff.
I mean, even myself, like, I've played Magic for a while with friends, kitchen table, like, and I was not going to set foot in a game store to play Magic.
Yeah, I
Like,
probably would have never met you actually if it weren't for Lorcana. Like, probably
oh no,
I would have
no,
seen you like
as a
as
customer,
a
but
customer, but never
like,
as a
no way we
player.
would have interacted or anything. Like, I would have never set foot in a Magic, like, in an MTG event in a card shop. I probably, like, I might at some point now for some specific events, but the aura of the LGS and the card player type was like, I don't want to deal with that personality.
We're using Zoomer lingo now.
Exactly.
All right.
Anyways, thank you guys for staying with us. If you're still here, drop us a like, drop us a comment, tell us what you're most excited about next week.
Don't
If
hesitate
you
to
haven't
come.
seen the leaks,
Like don't hesitate to come talk to me about leaks. I'm gonna be happy to talk about it in private.
oh yeah, like same thing. I will respond to it. We don't want to. We know there's a lot of people at Ravensburger who worked really hard to bring the news in the most complete and interesting ways. We want them to have the spotlight on this. We want them to be able to show off their hard work and not having everyone speculate on a few grainy pictures, as they put it. But very excited to talk to you about them next week. We'll see you then. But until then, keep questing.